Hey guys, welcome back to the Hit Up podcast. We hope you guys had a happy new year and a Merry Christmas. We're keeping the guests flowing in 2022 with former Tigers, Sharks, and Warriors player Blake Ayshford. How are you doing, Blake?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good, boys. Yep, happy New Year, 2022. Let's see what this year's got for us, eh?
Did you get up too much over the New Year?
No, I didn't, mate. It was actually probably the first New Year that I've actually had a really relaxed one. I mean, part of New Year, I mean Christmas and everything. There wasn't too many guests, and I can't get back to Aussie to see obviously my mum and dad and my brother, who I haven't seen in about 2 years now. So yeah, that's a bit. It was supposed to be Christmas there this year, but yeah, it didn't work out that way. So yeah, hopefully
That's
get across
a
the.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure, Blake. So what we like to do at the start of every podcast is I like to do a segment called the set of six. So I ask you 6 quick fire questions and you answer with yes or no, or like one word answer.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite fast food?
Pizza.
Very early 2022 Premier prediction.
Oh shit. Dragons.
Wooden spoon prediction for next year. Oh, this year, sorry.
Bulldogs.
Who is the best signing for this year?
Someone from the Dragons. That's the only reason I picked them, because I reckon they got some good signings.
Who is the NRL GOAT?
Cameron Smith.
And who's the greatest player that you've been able to play alongside?
Benji Marshall. That's sweet. He's got me with that one, because I was thinking back. I haven't had a look at the teams or the signings for a while now. So I was like, oh, shit. I just remember the Dragons were ones that I liked.
Yeah, we were talking about, me, Josh, and Connor were talking about earlier that the Bulldogs, they got a lot of new signings this year, but I don't know if they're going to work well chemistry-wise and how they're going to work as a team. So they could jump up from last, but you never know. So yeah, so Blake, what we like to do to start off the podcast is just talk about your career and talk about life and just go from there and just see how it goes.
Sweet.
All right, so obviously you played for the Junior Kangaroos and the NSW's under-17s and under-19s teams. What was that level like and how special was that?
I'll say the 17s and the stuff I sort of didn't get to play. I was like the 18th man sort of thing. And that's how I always was throughout my whole junior career. I never made any rep teams. I didn't make any schoolboys teams or anything. So when Junior Kangaroos came around, it sort of probably cost me a NRL spot a lot sooner. The Junior Kangaroos did. But for me, because I was injured at the time, but I had the choice to have surgery or play for the Junior Kangaroos. And for me, I'd never represented at all. Like, I didn't make schoolboys. I didn't make, like I was 18th man. So for me, that was my first big chance. And funnily enough, it only happened because Israel Folau got picked. He was in the Junior Kangaroos, but got picked to go play in the top side. So there was a spare spot. So I was lucky to rub shoulders like with players like Will Chambers, like Chris Lawrence, Trent Hodgkinson, Tony Williams, Jennings, like all these players that played for Tim Manor. We had a great side. We played against the likes of Sean Kenny Dow, Sonny Fye, like players like that. So for me, that Kangaroos experience was unreal. We went to Fiji, where we won. We got smashed by Tonga, who had their national team. And we got beat by the Kiwis in a thrilling match. It was the curtain raiser to the one Stevie Maddai got sent off in Wellington.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the curtain raiser for that one. But, mate, it's probably one of the highlights of my career because I've never represented at that first grade level. So for me, that's one of the things that stands out for me. Like I said, never made it as a kid. Got to first grade, and Kangaroos was a big stepping block for me.
Yeah. So one thing that I especially enjoyed growing up watching league was the under-20s, watching those games, watching who's going to be big in the NRL in a few seasons. You got to play in it. What was that like? Because some people hate it, some people love it. What was that like for you?
For me, so I was the first year. I might be a bit biased, but I think the first year was the toughest year that it ever had. Just solely because it was a new competition. Everyone wanted to put their strongest teams in. We were playing the Bulldogs, playing players like Ben Barber, and we played, I remember Manly, and I think Will Hopewadi debuted, scored 4 tries as a 17-year-old. We were playing Kieran Four and Daly Cherry Evans. And then you look at the final, and you had the Raiders versus the Broncos, and you look at those two teams and who played first grade. And mate, I think that year was the toughest, and I think it was a good system while it was there the first couple of years. But after that, it sort of became a place where the coaches like to put their players in the Premier League system. But like, I'm a sucker, man. I love the old Jersey Flegg days. Like, I used to, when playing the Tigers, I used to go play at 11 o'clock at Leichhardt Oval. Sunny Sunday, beautiful. There'd be maybe 10 people in the stands. By the time the end of your game, there might be maybe about 1,200. And you might get the call up to Premier League to sit on the bench. That's the old days when you could have, 10 players on the bench. And by the end of the Premier League game, they'd throw you on and they'd have close to a sellout crowd because first grade was next. And that's sort of, I reckon, the way they got to go back to and sort of get that experience. But like you said, man, the 20s was an exciting thing that came in, and I was happy to be a part of it that first year.
Yeah, keeping it on the Holden Cup, you obviously won the Players Player Award in 2008 for the Under-20s West Tigers. Where does that rank on your kind of career accolades and achievements?
This is going to sound silly, but not very high, just because I forgot I'd actually won it until you just told me then. Oh, mate, it's been a while. Probably a bit too many knocks. I don't know. But yeah, I was sort of, I can remember winning Rookie of the Year my first NRL year with the Tigers, but that comp was sort of like I said, when I said about the Kangaroos, sort of held me back. I didn't get to train and play first grade that year, which I thought they had me in line for because of my injury. I had to play 20s the whole year. So it was fun, but it was sort of a big blur for me, a lot of it.
Yeah. So every player remembers their NRL debut fondly. Do you have any stories like throughout the week, like how you got told and what was that like?
So I think I got told real early because we got beat by Souths. It was the Nathan Merritt field goal. At the SCG, the old traditional game, and Nathan Merritt kicked the field goal from the side, and Dean Collis had got injured. So I was like thinking to myself, I was like, there's no one else. Surely if I'm not in this week, I'm never in. So I sort of knew, and then Sheensy had told me, look, you're going to play this week, blah, blah, blah. But the best thing for me was that it was John Scandalis's return game after he'd been retired. So he was coming back. So the whole talk that week, nothing about me. It was all Scandalis back, and it was good because I could just fly under the radar. I wasn't nervous I was nervous, but I don't think I was as nervous because there was nothing spoken about me. I didn't have to do too many interviews or anything, your first grade debut, all that stuff. And coming into the game, I still remember the old Campbelltown sheds. They're not like they are now, mate. The old rundown sheds, the brick walls with the thin bench seats. Going out there, and I remember I was getting schooled by the Broncos. Lockyer, all those players like Carmichael Hunt, and that it was silly to verse on a debut. But I scored a try. Dane Laurie, Big Ziggy, was coming across field, and I just hit a gap, and he offloaded the ball to me, and I scored, and we were in the lead after that. So I'd basically scored probably about 15 to 18 minutes to go, and I think I've scored the match winner. Get up, I'm a hugger. When I score, I love a hug, like a point. So I'll point to the person and I hug, embrace. So there was some real big hugs there, a lot of ass grabbing. And then walking back, the trainer comes out and goes, "Oh, you're off." I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm off. I just and he goes, "Yeah, you're off. You're off." So I set the last 18 minutes. Like, I've just scored the match to take us in the lead, and I've been hooked. So I was a bit confused after that, but I think it was because I'd let in about 3 tries before. But yeah, like those memories stick out to me. The first try, and then getting hooked straight after, and we ended up getting beat. So I can say it wasn't my fault. If I was on the field, it wouldn't have happened. I can say that, but yeah.
Yeah, oh, definitely. So earlier you mentioned you played with some great players like Benji Marshall. So you've played with a few others. So who is Benji Marshall probably your favorite, and who was your favorite playing against?
Playing against, yeah, Benji's probably my favorite. Him and Robbie Farah. I mean, to make NRL, you have to have some talent. So I understand I had a bit of talent, but I think it was enhanced playing with those guys because they dished so much stuff up on a platter that they make you look that much better than maybe you really are. But you know, like they're both exceptional. They both play 300 games. You know, world-class players. So they're probably the two best. And I'd have to, how could I not mention the two, you know, someone asked me last year who I'd start a team with. And I put Gareth Ellis and Simon Mannering would be the two people I'd start a team with. So for me, like it's funny how you see it. Like the two best players skill-wise, I would say Benji and Farah, the two toughest, best blokes you'd want to start a team with, probably Simon Mannering and Gareth Ellis.
There's a good cheeky grin from you, Joshy.
But the other parts of the question, it's a tough one. Like I had little battles. I mean, I used to like playing Steve Maddai in the sense that you sort of seen how tough you were. Like, because if he hit you, man, you know, you felt it. And I remember the first couple of games he'd rough me up, but it's sort of we played against each other for so many years, it sort of became mutual respect, or it felt like that way. And the same with Jared Croker. We played 20s against each other, debuted the same year, and went through and sort of played even to my last game in the NRL was against him. So there's that mutual respect there as well. So I used to like playing against those boys.
Yeah, for sure. So you obviously played for Cronulla, West Tigers, and finished your career at the Warriors. What would you say was your most favorite time to play footy, just in general?
As a first grader?
Yeah, as a first grader.
Definitely the Tigers, man. I love the Warriors. They sort of rejuvenated my career, gave me another 4 or 5 years, and look, I'm living in New Zealand now, so I love the Warriors. Sharks, I sort of went there at that bad time and don't have, apart from the mates that I made, I don't really have too many on-field good memories. But the Tigers, like, we should have won a comp one of those years. If I'm being honest, like 2010, everyone's seen that Roosters semi where we got beat. We should have won that. Then we had to play the Dragons. We should have, I'm saying shoulda, couldas, you know, but we really had the team to win the comp. And even in 2011, when we got knocked off by the Warriors, I still argue with a couple of mates now. I'm like, well, Inu was double movement. So,
do you have any comment, Josh?
Mate, hey, you can say whatever you want, but you can't tell me different. I don't care.
It's pretty good. Seen it a few times.
Well, mate, I refuse to watch the whole game again. I can't, and it pops up so many times over here. But that 2000, probably from about 2009, 2007 to 2011, the end of 2011 were probably my best times at the Tigers. You know, it was winning football, winning culture. Like, we used to have a good time after the match. We used to have a good time all week together. We'd go have coffee, we'd go have a feed, go to the pub on a Saturday. We go play footy together, and you could see it in the footy. And for me, like, they're good memories from the game that won't leave me. I love that time.
Yeah. So it's been mentioned a few times I'm a Warriors fan, and one of my big things is let's sign all these Aussie players. But I think what we underestimate is the adjustment moving to another country. Obviously, you found it all right, but what was it like to start off with moving to New Zealand?
Well, I'm sort of lucky. I met my wife in Australia, and she's from New Zealand, so she's a Kiwi girl. So I come back here in 2010 for the first time. Apart from obviously playing, I came and went down the coast and stuff. Like I live in Papamore now, so like like we're down here, and for me it was a lot easier in that sense, and there wasn't as much pressure because what they do with a lot of Aussie players, the Warriors tend to sign their juniors onto not the best deals, and they save money for those Aussie players. For me, it was sort of the other way around. I came over and it was sort of a lifeline deal. So I wasn't on the big money and had to live up to expectations. So for me, it was sort of under the radar. And we had a good coach, man. I'm going to be straight up with you. If they kept Andrew McFadden, we would have had a lot more winning seasons than we did losing seasons. He just never got the proper go. It was sort of like you're saying how they buy Aussie players. They wanted a Kiwi coach to come in and coach. So that's, I think, sort of how McFadden, didn't make it that time. But I think if he'd stayed in the role, it was just going to go further and further. I came over very fat, and he sort of told me straight up, yeah, like, you're not here for any of that, like shape up or ship out. So he's straight up, real good coach, and I love New Zealand straight away. Maybe because I went through a hard time at the Sharks and, like getting hammered in the media, getting hammered that's when social media just started up and things, and I was getting hammered through that. I didn't really know how to take it because it was all new. And coming over here, mate, if you don't want to read anything, like there's nothing in the newspaper. They write nothing about the Warriors. If you don't want to read anything good or anything bad, which I learned over here, just don't worry about it. Just don't go online. So over here was just a blessing in disguise, man. I love how laid back the lifestyle it is over here compared to where I grew up. Was amazing when I was a kid. I had the best life. And, going back there now, a thing that would have taken 10 minutes takes an hour to get to. Just the amount of people and traffic there. So I love New Zealand. I still cheer for the Wallabies, the Socceroos, cricketers. So it's good though, because I'll go down the pub and, I'll chuck on my gear and I'll be like, yeah, go on Aussie. Maybe not for the Wallabies, but for the rest of them. Yeah.
You definitely have us there with the other ones. So obviously you mentioned how much you love the Warriors. The Warriors you played a lot of games at Mount Smart. Did you enjoy playing there? Because it's obviously a great stadium to play at.
That's my apart from it's in my top three. It's in my top three. So I've got Leichhardt on a Sunday. That's unmatched. I don't think anything will ever beat that. The SFS, the old SFS, was amazing to play at, and Mount Smart is you play there at night. Teams don't want to play there. Like teams will rock up and they just do not want to play. It's freezing. Sometimes we don't even want to play. Like it's that cold, But like it's the support you get from the fans. Like over here is, even though you have losing season and there's been a lot. They still turn up, man. They still turn up. And it's amazing, like, to see that. And I remember playing one of my first Sunday games here in the sun, packed crowd. Like, even one of my favorite memories, one of my favorite games at Mount Smart was actually in a Tigers jersey when we played the Warriors in 2011. They were beating us by, I don't know, maybe 20 points. We came back and won. And it went from sun to dark on a Sunday, and we had to stay over in New Zealand for the week because of all these dramas with the airlines. But, like Mount Smart's top three in my opinion. And it gets loud. The fans are enormous. So it's good, man. Top three.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but before we talked about you coming over to New Zealand and loving it, do you think that some of the Warriors players being in Australia for so long might want to like change teams, like they're used to the lifestyle over there now, or do you think they'll end up staying with the club?
That's a good question, man. It's hard. I don't think so. because if you look at our team now, the Warriors team, majority of it, those boys haven't even been to New Zealand. You know what I mean? So I speak to Jazz and boys like that very often. I know they want to get home and see their families. I mean, you even look what happened to Roger. Yeah, he wanted to go test himself in Union, but I'd say a lot of it, or a bit of it as well, would have had to do with playing over here for the whole year instead of playing in Australia. Yeah, I don't think too many of the boys would. I definitely know Bunty and all that love New Zealand. They love home. They love their families. So a majority of the boys would come back here. I don't think it would tempt too many. The money, women, that could be a whole different story.
Would sell me.
Yeah, would have sold a younger me too.
Obviously, there's a lot of talk about how the game's changed, how it's getting faster, getting more skillful, more pace. Do you think it's different compared to when you used to play? And do you think it's changed for the better, or do you think it's changed for the worse?
So for the moment, I think it's sorry, let's turn this light on. I think for the moment, actually, it's gotten back to the way it was. So when I came in, a part of it why I loved the game so much was you had, as a centre, you could go one-on-one with your centre, get early ball, like off of Benji Marshall, and go one-on-one with your centre and see who's the better man, you know? But then as slowly the years got on and the wrestle, you'd get the ball and you'd have like a Inglis or a Matter or someone like right there in your face, and you'd have no room to do anything. Like, it was pointless. So then that's where you ended up seeing all these block plays and these plays that do nothing, or sometimes they do nothing. You know, some teams just run them just for the sake. But the way the game is now, it took me a while. I was sort of a bit skeptical. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, they just keep making it faster and just trying to, you know, everyone's just getting injured. I can say that I'm glad I'm not playing now, or the way I am now, because maybe if I was younger, like, I would have loved it. But yeah, I think it's sort of getting back to that way, that footy. Like, you see those boys get the ball now in the centers and out the back row, even out the back, and they can play fast, and you get to see like Reece Walsh, man, how good is he? Like, fast, lightning, his feet. Then you got players from O'Sullivan and those boys from the Dragons, those young boys coming through, and their footwork and things. It's amazing, man. Like, just seeing that free-flowing footy back is good. That's what I love about this new style. Even maybe some of the big props, you know, getting the ball and showing some footwork is good.
So you're a fan of the six again?
The thing with me, the six again, is, see, with every new rule, coaches are going to figure out over time how to manipulate it, right? So as the season went on, you saw teams giving six again, sort of in their own half, as teams are trying to bring it out of trouble. So it sort of negated anything. Like, you'd rather a penalty there, kick 40 meters down and deal with it. The same as, like, if you knock on the next play, it's a bit harsh. I think they need to change that. If teams are going to keep doing it, then give a penalty. But then, I am a fan, but I'm not. You see how confused I am at the moment. Like, man, like, there's so many ifs and buts. Like, I just think the one thing that annoys me is when it's like play one and you've got someone bringing it back off the back fence, like a winger or someone, and then they just get held down and they can't get up and play the ball fast. I think six again, should be a penalty. Inside their own 30 maybe, and then outside their own 30, then play six again. But then again, it'll probably confuse the refs, and everyone will start writing about the refs, and then we'll start blaming each other, and then it might get back to you guys, and then I said it, and then...
Yeah. So many say centre is probably the hardest job in the NRL for defence. What would be your one tip for a person in the centre as a young person?
Probably commentate the game if you can. Like, if you're fit enough and can talk, which you should be able to, the amount of work they do these days, sort of just commentate the game. And you do enough video these days to see the plays, you know, before they come. And if you just look up in front of you, you can see sort of their shape because you've studied it all week, mate. You do 2 or 3, maybe even 4 video sessions a week, maybe and plus that's extra whatever you want to do. And you sort of have the reserve grades. I know certain teams have reserve grade teams training. Say we're playing the Tigers this week or the Storm. The reserve grade team will be training the Storm shape. So you sort of get a feel for it. So you can sort of commentate the game. I think by doing that, you're letting everyone else around you know, okay, this play's coming. Oh, there's this person inside, this person outside. You know, you just sort of commentate the game and letting everyone around you know. And also, if you can, just get up fast. And that's what I used to do. I used to just rush up fast. So more in fear than smartness. Like if I had Greg Inglis or someone across from me, I'd used to rush up so fast just because if I gave him room, like I would have been flying like Sivo flew me.
That was actually one of my next questions. Obviously, that clip kind of went viral and it was one of the tries of the season. How was it in that bit?
Nah, not good, man. You can take it like you take it one or two ways, man. Like you can be sour about it and talk about. For me, it's funny just to see. Like I went to a camp over here the next year, and I had these little kids that knew nothing about my career, but they just remembered that I got fended by Sivo. And it's funny, like, you know, we'll talk and we could go back and talk about the Tigers and talk about this, but then the younger kids now are just like, remember that clip and it's going to be shown for years, which is funny. Like, so like I was trying to show him the outside because it was 1-on-1 and we had 20 meters. I was shitting myself. I'm like, this big Sivo. Oh, try to show him the outside and he caught me off balance and just sent me. But the thing was, I don't have footage of the other one. So a year before he was playing for the Panthers, he did the same thing, but a lot worse, but there's no footage of it. So that one, the first grade one, I was off balance and it looked silly because I'm running back and fall over, but I was off balance, silly. I should have just went at him. The one when we played him over here in reserve grade, he was running across field and I jumped out and it was a wet day. And he put this bloody Adugan fen straight in my chest and I slid straight across the ground. And I tell you, it is way worse than that one that is shown every year. But there'd be footage somewhere, but I'm not digging it up. And I don't know. I sort of know if anyone does dig it up.
And at least if you want to get into boxing, you know who to call out.
You'd have to pay me a lot for that. Actually, you'd have to pay me a bit to get another hiding.
Oh, definitely. Just before we wrap it up, do you have any advice for someone young looking to make it in the NRL?
Yep. A couple of things, man. Like just throughout my journey, obviously it's been up and down. You know, from the start with just never give up. You know, it's probably a bit cliche, but I told you before, I never made any rep teams, you know, nothing.
Yeah.
I was playing as a Roosters junior and sort of got lucky that I chose the right path in the Tigers. You know, I had a couple other clubs, but you just got to stick at it and just stick at what you're doing. Have fun with the game as well. And then when you get there, don't just think you're there and, you know, that's it. Because for me, I had coming into league, into first grade, we won that many games that I thought, oh, how good's this? How easy is first grade? We just win. I'm in the semis every year. And then after that, you know, I never made the semis again. So just don't take it for granted and just keep working on your craft once you're there, because I sort of stopped and I sort of, it's funny, I've seen Corey Oates come out this week and talk about how he was self to blame that he didn't go further and hasn't been getting picked. And, you know, it sort of hit home because I sort of didn't work on my body, you know, throughout the career. My knees are shot, my back's gone now. So it's sort of like, just got to keep working on your craft. But yeah, that's it, man. Just keep at it, keep working on your craft, and you'll get there.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, I've seen a few picks. Are you a Celtics fan?
Yes, Celtics, man. I am. I've been Celtics for many years. Why? What's happening? Who are we?
Oh, Dallas, Josh's
Lakers, yeah.
and
Not
Liam's
LeBron. Not because of LeBron. Calm down.
I love how you stated that, though. I love how you.
Everyone thinks that.
Yeah.
And then
Dallas.
and then just a bit of whoever's on top.
No. Yes.
No. I just started supporting the Lakers when me and Josh have been friends since we've been kids, so he got me in on the Lakers as well. So
What got you into the Celtics, Blake?
I was just speaking to someone about this now, and they're asking, will I trade Ben Simmons for or Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris for Brown and Tatum? And I said, definitely not. We just need all we need is we need a point guard. That's all we need. We got Robert Williams, a center. We got our two wings. Just give us a point guard, man, and we'll be there. I'm telling you.
You're not
Do
you not like Schroeder?
Yeah, but he's like a scoring point guard, whereas Marcus Smart's more a defensive player. I reckon if we get Rondo, I reckon, man, we'll go off. Yeah, bring him back for the Swan song. I reckon we'll go off because I don't think they're in the East. The East is all up in the air at the moment.
Yeah.
If I'm looking right now, I think the Bulls are going to win it. Like legit, the Bulls are a stacked team.
Yeah.
Dallas, why are you Dallas? Just because of
no, I supported them before Luka. Don't get it twisted.
2011.
I've come out a bit more since Luka came. Yeah, I supported them when we drafted Dennis Smith Jr. because he was my favorite high school player.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
Where's he now? Is he out of the league? Is he?
I didn't even know, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Out of the league, bro.
He went to New York, left the map.
Yeah.
I reckon, boys. The Lakers, if AD comes back the way, and if LeBron's playing the way he is now, and AD comes back as a healthy AD, then they're a shot, man.
Yeah.
Don't worry about Russ and all that. They'll be there. LeBron will work it. How can you count on that?
Yeah. So just one more question, Blake. What are you actually doing now to keep yourself busy in retirement?
So when I retired, I sort of sat on my ass for about 6 months and just really enjoyed it and soaked it up. And then I was like, I got to get a job. So, I was doing a bit of podcasting with Mark Peard at Mark Peard Sports, and we were doing a bit of that stuff. But now I work with Argus Fire in fire protection. So go around just to mill sites and things like that and do that stuff. It's completely different, man. Let me just say, I know why a lot of Kiwis are in Australia. Once I seen that first paycheck, I was like, oh man, yeah, that's changed. But yeah, I'd never really had a job. So for me, learning a new trade, it's sort of different, but it's sort of exciting. I'm doing that. Plus I'm doing some work with the Tab, which I'm really excited. I get to talk about rugby league on their podcast, which, man, I love. I can just talk rugby league all day long. I can talk about the funny side. I can talk about the tactical side, whatever you want. Doing some work with them, and then just sort of freelancing out, just wherever anyone wants me. I'm just sort of got some money. Yep, I'm here for you. So Argus is my main job, and Tab is doing some stuff for them, and the rest, yeah, man, it's just floating up. Whenever someone wants me, they'll give me a call.
Sounds like the life. All right, well, that's pretty much all the time we have for today. So thanks, Blake, for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Love hearing all the funny sides and all the advice that you've given, and it's been a real pleasure, mate.
Sweet, man. Thanks, boys. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Cheers, Blake.
See you later.